Imagine inviting your heartbroken sister into your cozy home to heal her wounds, only to feel your perfect marriage start cracking under a tension you never saw coming. What if the love you gave her sparked something dangerous between her and your husband? One quiet evening, a single glance changes everything. Stay with me. This true, feeling story will grip your heart and leave you questioning every bond in your life. Sarah sat by the living room window, watching the autumn leaves scatter across the yard. The house was quiet except for the faint sound of Daniel working in the kitchen. He was always fixing something, always reliable, always steady. She loved him for that. His calm presence made her feel safe, but inside her heart there was a restless ache she could not name. It was not unhappiness, but a longing that followed her like a shadow. For weeks, she had been carrying the weight of her sister Lily's phone calls. Lily lived in Seattle and had just gone through a painful breakup. She cried often. Her voice cracked when she spoke, and Sarah knew she was lonely. Sarah wanted to help her, to give her warmth, but she also worried. Lily was not just her sister. She was her closest companion in life. They had grown up sharing everything, even secrets, and their bond had always been deep. One gray afternoon, the phone rang again. Lily's voice trembled. I don't know what to do anymore, Sarah. The apartment feels like a prison. I can't even eat properly. Sarah listened quietly, holding back tears. She wished she could hug her sister through the phone. That night, after Lily hung up, Sarah turned to Daniel. He was sitting near the fireplace with a book in his hands, glasses perched on his nose. He looked so calm, so centered. She felt torn between love for her husband and the need to rescue her sister. She hesitated, her voice soft. Daniel, what if Lily stayed here with us for a while? Daniel lowered the book and studied her. His eyes were kind but thoughtful. He was not a man of many words. He always listened before speaking. Sarah's heart pounded as she waited for his answer. She knew the request was unusual. Having Lily in their home would change the rhythm of their lives. But Daniel had always obeyed her wishes, even when they surprised him. Finally, he nodded. If that's what you want, then yes, let her come. Relief and nervousness washed over Sarah at once. She reached for his hand, grateful, but unsettled. She wondered if Daniel truly understood what she was asking, or if he was simply trusting her as he always did. The next morning, Sarah called Lily and told her she could come. Lily's voice cracked with gratitude. You don't know how much this means to me, she whispered. Sarah hung up and sat quietly in the kitchen. She stared at the sunlight pouring through the window, her heart heavy with questions. She wanted to protect Lily, but she also knew her presence would stir emotions in ways she couldn't predict. Daniel's obedience had given her freedom, but it also placed responsibility squarely on her shoulders. She felt the weight of it pressing down on her. The following days passed quickly. Sarah prepared the house, cleaned the spare room, and filled the pantry with Lily's favorite snacks. Daniel moved through the house silently, helping where needed, never questioning her decision. His loyalty was steady, but Sarah sensed he was holding back his thoughts. She wanted to ask him what he truly felt, but every time she opened her mouth, the words refused to come. On Friday, the day of Lily's arrival, Sarah stood by the front door nervously. The suitcase wheels clattered on the porch before Lily appeared, her face pale but smiling faintly. Sarah rushed forward and wrapped her arms around her sister. For a moment, the world felt right again. Daniel came to the doorway, took Lily's suitcase, and carried it upstairs. His politeness was effortless, but Sarah noticed the slight stiffness in his movements. She followed him with her eyes, wondering what thoughts hid behind his silence. That night, after Lily settled into the guest room, Sarah and Daniel sat together in the living room. The fire crackled between them. She wanted to thank him, to tell him how much his support meant. But when she looked at him, she saw something in his eyes he did not ask. She turned her gaze away, her chest tightening. In that moment, Sarah realized her choice had changed something in their home forever. She had asked Daniel to obey, and he had. But deep inside, she wondered if she had opened a door to something she could not control. And as the flames flickered low, Sarah felt a mixture of love, fear, and longing. Not knowing where this path would lead, the rain was falling softly when Lily arrived with her suitcase. Sarah opened the door and saw her younger sister standing there, tired but smiling faintly. Sarah hugged her tightly, feeling both joy and unease. Daniel stepped forward without a word, lifting Lily's suitcase as if it weighed nothing. He carried it upstairs while Sarah led Lily into the living room. The house smelled of apple pie Sarah had baked earlier, a small attempt to make everything feel warm and welcoming. Lily sank into the couch, her shoulders heavy with exhaustion. It feels strange being here, she admitted, her voice low. But safe. I already feel safe. Sarah smiled and touched her hand, wanting to reassure her, though she herself was unsure. Daniel came back down, his presence calm but reserved. I put your things in the guest room, he said. Lily thanked him softly. He nodded, then busied himself in the kitchen, Giving the sisters space, Sarah watched him go, her heart tightening. His kindness never wavered, but she wondered what thoughts he kept hidden. That first evening, the three of them shared dinner. Conversation was light, mostly about Lily's journey and the storm outside. Sarah tried to keep the mood gentle, but beneath her words, she felt the tension building. She sat between Daniel and Lily, glancing at both, sensing something delicate she could not name. Later that night, when Sarah showed Lily to the guest room, she hesitated. The room felt distant, far down the hall, almost apart from the rest of the home. "Are you sure you'll be comfortable here?" Sarah asked. Lily nodded quickly, though her eyes looked uncertain. Sarah nearly suggested Lily stay closer, perhaps in the room near hers and Daniel's, but she swallowed the thought. It felt too bold, too complicated. She kissed her sister goodnight and walked back slowly. Daniel was already in bed reading. He set his book aside when Sarah entered. "She seems fragile," he said quietly. Sarah nodded, climbing in beside him. She wanted to thank him for his patience. But she sensed his restraint. He was obeying, but obedience carried silence, and silence carried distance. The next few days passed quickly. Lily's presence filled the house. She laughed more, slept late, and slowly began to heal. She often sat at the kitchen table with Sarah, drinking coffee and talking about childhood memories, about dreams they once shared. Daniel joined when he could. Quiet but attentive, his small gestures always steady, passing plates, opening doors, fixing whatever broke. Sarah noticed the way Lily's spirit returned, but she also noticed something else. How Daniel sometimes lingered at the edge of conversations, his gaze thoughtful, as if measuring the space between them all. Sarah's heart raced whenever she caught him watching. She wanted to bridge the gap, to tell him she loved him, to show him he was still the center of her world. Yet, whenever she tried, Lily's voice or presence shifted the moment. One evening, the three of them sat by the fire. Lily wrapped herself in a blanket, her hair loose around her shoulders. Sarah leaned against Daniel, but her eyes kept drifting toward her sister. The three of them spoke in fragments, comfortable yet fragile. There was closeness in the room, but it carried weight, like a secret none of them had voiced. Sarah began to wonder if she had made a mistake. She wanted Lily close, wanted Daniel's support, wanted the warmth of family together. But she sensed an invisible line forming. Every gesture, every glance carried more meaning than it should. Lily's laughter lit the room. Daniel's silence deepened it, and Sarah found herself caught between them, trying to hold both without breaking either. The next morning, Sarah suggested a walk through the park. The air was crisp, leaves covering the path in shades of golden red. Lily walked between them, talking freely, her voice lighter than before. Daniel listened, his hands in his pockets, saying little. Sarah watched them both, her heart swelling and breaking at once. She loved them in different ways. Her husband steady as the earth, her sister vibrant as the wind. And now with them together, she felt both whole and uncertain. At home that night, Lily helped Sarah prepare dinner while Daniel set the table. The kitchen filled with warmth and chatter, yet beneath it, Sarah felt something stirring. She saw the way Daniel quietly moved around Lily, always respectful but careful. She saw how Lily looked at him, sometimes grateful, perhaps admiring. It unsettled her. Later, when Sarah lay in bed beside Daniel, she whispered, "Do you think she's happier here?" Daniel turned his head, studying her. "Yes, she's healing. You've given her that." His words were kind, but his voice carried something unspoken. Sarah reached for his hand. He held hers, but she felt the distance between them all the same. Days turned into weeks. The house grew lively, but Sarah's heart carried conflict. She wanted closeness, yet feared it. She had invited her sister in with love, and Daniel had obeyed her wish, as always. But now she began to question if she had asked for more than she understood. One rainy evening, as Lily laughed in the kitchen and Daniel stood near the fire, Sarah paused in the hallway, looking at them both. A thought whispered in her mind, dangerous and tender. What if this was always meant to be? Her chest tightened. She shook it away, but the seed was planted. She stepped forward, joining them, her smile bright, though her heart trembled. And as the three of them shared another quiet meal, Sarah realized she was standing on the edge of something she could neither escape nor fully name. The nights grew colder as autumn deepened, and the house seemed to gather silence in its walls. Sarah began to notice small things, details that pressed against her thoughts. She saw the way Daniel placed Lily's favorite mug by her side without being asked. She noticed how Lily's laughter softened when Daniel entered a room, as if she felt safer in his presence. And Sarah herself, she found her own heart racing at the smallest moments, caught between gratitude and unease. One evening, the three of them sat by the fire. Sarah leaned against Daniel's shoulder, her hand brushing Lily's when she passed a cup of tea. The contact was brief, but it lingered in her mind. She looked at Lily, then at Daniel, and felt her breath catch. The warmth of the fire could not hide the tension she felt. Her home, once a place of clear love, now carried layers of emotions she had never expected. Daniel obeyed her every wish. He had never once complained about Lily's presence. He helped with her luggage, joined their conversations, and offered quiet support. Yet Sarah could feel something in his silence, a question, a hesitation. He was loyal distress, but loyalty sometimes carried weight. She could sense his struggle, though he never spoke of it. Lily, meanwhile, was changing. When she had first arrived, she had been broken, her laughter rare, her voice faint. Now she smiled more, her cheeks flushed with life again. Sarah should have felt only joy at this transformation, but deep down there was fear. She wondered if Lily's healing came not just from her sister's care, but also from the presence of Daniel, steady and dependable. That thought unsettled her, though she tried to push it away. One night, Sarah lay in bed awake while Daniel breathed steadily beside her. She thought of Lily sleeping down the hall. She remembered the way her sister's eyes lingered during dinner, how her smile seemed softer when Daniel was near. Sarah felt her chest tighten with emotions. She could not name love, jealousy, longing, fear. She closed her eyes, but sleep refused to come. The next morning, Sarah suggested a family breakfast. The three of them cooked together, eggs sizzling in the pan, toast popping from the toaster. It should have been simple, ordinary, but Sarah felt the closeness pressing in on her. She laughed at Lily's jokes, smiled at Daniel's quiet gestures, but inside she was trembling. She wanted everything to stay balanced. Yet, she feared the balance was already breaking. As days passed, small moments grew heavier. One afternoon, Lily and Daniel worked together to fix a loose curtain rod. Sarah watched from the hallway as Daniel held the ladder and Lily tightened the screws. Their teamwork was innocent, but to Sarah it looked like something more, something fragile and dangerous. She turned away before they could notice her staring. Another night, Lily offered to help Daniel stack firewood outside. Sarah stood at the window, watching them through the glass. They moved quietly side by side, their breath visible in the cold air. Sarah felt her pulse race, a storm rising in her chest. She wanted to run outside to remind them she was there, that she was the bridge between them, but she stayed still, frozen by her own fears. Inside, Sarah told herself this was her choice. She had invited Lily here and Daniel had obeyed. This closeness, this silent triangle was something she had created, and now she was caught in it, unsure how to escape. That evening, Sarah tried to bring the three of them together with a movie by the fire. She curled against Daniel, pulling Lily close on her other side. At first, it felt warm, like family. But as the night went on, Sarah sensed every movement, Daniel's arm around her, Lily's head resting near her shoulder, the steady rhythm of their breathing. The closeness felt too sharp, too intimate. Sarah's heart pounded as she stared at the screen, not seeing the movie at all. When the credits rolled, Lily stretched and smiled, thanking them for the evening. She kissed Sarah's cheek, then wished them good night. Sarah sat frozen, her pulse still racing, while Daniel turned off the television. He looked at her, his eyes steady but unreadable. She wanted to speak, but the words failed. He went upstairs quietly, and Sarah followed, her chest heavy, days blurred together, each carrying the same quiet tension. Sarah felt herself unraveling, caught between love for her husband, devotion to her sister, and the strange pull that seemed to grow in the spaces between them. She wanted to believe she could keep it all together, that love could stretch wide enough. But the more she tried, the more fragile it felt. One afternoon, as Sarah folded laundry, she overheard Lily in the next room. She was laughing softly, talking to Daniel about her plans for the future. Sarah froze, listening to the sound of their voices blending together. It was harmless talk, yet it made her heart ache. She realized then how much she had placed them in each other's lives, how much she had risked by bringing them under one roof. That night, Sarah could not hold it in any longer. As Daniel lay beside her, she whispered, "Do you ever wonder what this is doing to us?" He turned his head, studying her. His voice was calm, but firm. "Sarah, I follow your heart, but you must be sure of what it wants. I will not move without your wish." His words pierced her. He was obeying, always obeying, but it was her choices that shaped their lives. She had thought inviting Lily would bring love into the house, would make it fuller, warmer. But now she feared she had built something dangerous. She turned away, tears pressing at her eyes. In the silence of the night, she admitted to herself what she had never spoken aloud. She was afraid of losing both of them, afraid that the bond she had created would break the very love she wanted to protect. And as the fire downstairs burned low, Sarah realized the storm she feared was no longer far away. It was already inside her home, moving quietly between the three of them, waiting for the moment to unfold. The days grew shorter, and the chill of late autumn pressed against the windows. Sarah walked through her home with a heavy heart, feeling the closeness of her sister and husband in every room. Lily had grown stronger, her laughter frequent, and her smile bright. But every joy carried an undercurrent Sarah could not ignore. Daniel, calm and steady as always, moved quietly around them, supporting them both without complaint. But Sarah felt the weight of unspoken tension pressing between them all. That evening, rain tapped lightly against the windows as Sarah stood in the kitchen, watching Lily stir her tea. The smell of cinnamon and baked bread filled the room, but it could not soothe the storm in Sarah's chest. She wanted to reach out to Daniel, to feel his hand in hers, to anchor herself in the love she had always known. Yet when she looked at him, she also saw Lily there, bright, alive, warm, and healing, and she felt torn between gratitude and unease. Sarah carried her thoughts into dinner. The three of them sat at the table, their movements natural yet weighted. Conversation was light, yet every glance and gesture felt meaningful, carrying more than what was said. Sarah noticed the way Daniel's eyes softened when Lily laughed, how Lily would glance at him when she thought no one was watching. Sarah felt her heart race, a mixture of pride and fear swelling inside her. She had invited Lily into their lives, and now she could not predict what love or tension had taken root. After dinner, they moved to the living room. Sarah sat between Daniel and Lily, her hands resting on her lap, her eyes shifting from one to the other. The fire flickered, casting shadows that seemed to stretch across the room, mirroring the quiet tension. Sarah wanted to speak, to confess her swirling emotions, but each time she opened her mouth, the words failed. Daniel's patience was unwavering, yet she sensed he was waiting for her to guide the moment, to reveal the truth she had held back. The nights that followed were filled with quiet observations. Sarah watched Daniel helping Lily with small tasks, adjusting a cushion here, fetching a blanket there. She noticed the ease in Lily's movements when Daniel was near, the way she leaned slightly in his direction without thinking. Sarah felt a mix of joy and fear. She had brought them together out of love, hoping to heal her sister and strengthen her family. But now the closeness she had created felt like a delicate thread stretched across an invisible line. One night, Sarah woke to the sound of quiet voices. Daniel and Lily were speaking softly in the kitchen, perhaps planning breakfast or sharing a story. Sarah lay in bed, heart pounding. She felt a strange gratitude for their connection, yet fear that it might overshadow her own place in Daniel's life. She realized then how much she had woven her heart and theirs together, and how fragile the pattern had become. The following day, Sarah decided to speak openly. She found Daniel in the living room sitting in his usual chair, his posture calm but attentive. She took a deep breath and asked, "Daniel, do you ever feel like this is too much?" He looked at her steadily, his gaze full of trust and care. "Sarah, I follow your heart. I trust your choices, but I need to know where your heart truly rests." His words lingered, simple yet profound. Sarah's mind raced. She had invited Lily here to heal her, to bring warmth into their home. Yet, she now recognized the delicate balance she had disturbed. She thought of all the small moments, Lily leaning on her arm, Daniel quietly attending to her sister's needs, the laughter and gentle glances that filled their days. Sarah realized she was standing at a crossroads. She could protect her marriage, her love, her bond with Daniel, or she could continue to embrace the closeness that included Lily. Later that evening, as the rain poured outside and the fire crackled low, Sarah gathered her courage. She spoke to both Daniel and Lily, her voice steady despite the emotions trembling beneath. "I brought us together because I wanted love to feel bigger, to hold us all. But I see now that love can be complicated. I want us to be happy, all of us. But I must be honest about my heart." Lily's eyes welled with tears, her voice soft. "Sarah, I came here because I needed you both. You gave me strength when I felt weak. But I can't stay in the middle of your life forever. Your marriage, your love, it's yours. I won't interfere. I only want to help." Daniel reached for Sarah's hand, holding it gently. "I will always follow your lead, Sarah. But I need to know what you want for yourself, for us. We can navigate this together, but I cannot guess your heart." The three of them sat in silence, the firelight dancing across their faces. Sarah's heart raced, filled with love, gratitude, and the weight of choice. She realized that love could stretch and bend, but it could also break if mismanaged. She thought of Daniel's quiet strength, of Lily's laughter, and of the bond she shared with both. She understood that she needed clarity, honesty, and courage to protect what she truly cherished. Over the next few days, Sarah reflected deeply. She spent quiet moments with Daniel, walking through the park, sharing thoughts and dreams. She spoke with Lily, listening and comforting, making sure her sister felt valued yet free. The house felt lighter, more balanced. As each of them found their place, Sarah began to see that love was not about possession, but about care, respect, and understanding. She realized that by communicating openly, she could maintain closeness without allowing tension to grow. One crisp morning, as sunlight streamed through the windows, Sarah watched Daniel and Lily laugh over breakfast. She smiled, feeling a profound sense of peace. She reached for Daniel's hand, and he squeezed hers gently. Across the table, Lily caught her gaze and smiled, a silent understanding passing between them. Sarah knew she had made the right choice, not by removing Lily from their lives, but by setting boundaries, speaking honestly, and trusting both Daniel and herself. The days that followed were full of warmth and gentle joy. Lily began to plan her return home stronger and happier than when she had arrived. Sarah and Daniel spent quiet evenings together, rediscovering the intimacy and trust that had always defined their marriage. The house was filled with laughter, conversation, and love. Yet the fragile tensions of earlier days had eased. Sarah felt her heart open fully, grateful for the lessons, the love, and the courage she had found in navigating this delicate chapter. And as the first snowflakes of winter began to fall outside, Sarah, Daniel, and Lily sat together by the fire one last evening before Lily's departure. They shared stories, laughter, and quiet glances, each understanding their place in the tapestry of their lives. Sarah knew that love, when nurtured with honesty and care, could grow stronger even through challenges. She felt a gentle sense of triumph, not over anyone but over fear itself, and she understood that her heart could hold more than she had ever imagined: love, trust, and the bonds of family all intertwined.